So welcome everyone. What a time to be alive. The Madness Clown Show continues and goes on, but we forever become more conscious. In today's video, I'm going to discuss the conscious mind. With all the trauma over the last few years, it's important we deal with this. Otherwise, it's not going to get better by forgetting about it. When we forget about things, we're only going to repress them and make that shadow grow further. We are in an intense time where people seem to be getting very lost in their minds, thinking they are being conscious when in fact they are actually completely sleepwalking, completely under a spell. I'm seeing a lot of this around me at the moment, and I'd like to share these thoughts with you as I feel a lot of people are feeling the same way and don't know really how to express it. I feel like sharing these thoughts will help us all, help us all kind of come together. So what is the conscious mind? You have the conscious, you have the subconscious, and you have the unconscious. The conscious mind sits on top, filtering the subconscious and unconscious messages. The conscious mind is what makes you make decisions and take actions. It's who you are. It's this present moment where we're in right now. You then have the subconscious, which holds your fears, belief systems, and sitting underneath the conscious mind directs a lot of that conscious mind to where to go. And it holds your memories that you might not even know about. It takes a huge amount of information from the outside world, the subconscious. Media and advertisement play on this very well, and they manipulate these fields. So they actually encourage you to activate and trigger your subconscious to go and make a conscious decision and buy one of their products or watch the latest films. Some of you might be aware of what MK Ultra is, but this is the same way MK Ultra was used. It's a state that you're put into when you're in hypnosis. So you go into the subconscious state. And often in hypnosis, you remember things from the past that you never even knew about. And this is because they're buried in the subconscious. The subconscious is the processor before it hits your conscious mind, where you store your visual memories, your childhood imprints, certain belief systems, but also a place where a lot of trickery is performed, where we have tricksters which know the collective subconscious and can control humanity as it wishes, because humans will do the work. They will just react to whatever the problem they are faced with, so they only need to create a problem. But the main source of your behaviour comes from your unconscious mind, where we have these deep childhood imprints and your views on men and women, sexuality, your core belief systems to the world, usually influenced by the parental system and how you're brought up. The unconscious mind is usually formed before the age of 3, but continues to grow as we develop as a teenager. It's where we store that trauma and sometimes things we are completely unaware to, unless we have a trigger somewhere that activates these memories. We can also blur or distort these unconscious imprints from our subconscious mind, depending how we feed that mind and how that subconscious is fed. If you're watching too much TV, for example, this can really damage the subconscious. So first and foremost, it's essential that we deal with the unconscious mind so we grow correctly from the core. And that's very hard to deal with, especially with any trauma or abuse that's gone on. But it's important we deal with it. We have to deal with it. We have to look over it. Otherwise, we are distorting the subconscious messages, feeding the conscious mind. You can look at it like a triangle. You have the conscious mind at the top, you have the subconscious, and then underneath the unconscious. And these messages are fed into the conscious mind, allowing a lot of interference, and especially in this day and age, it's essential you stay aware and conscious to these imprints and what's going on inside yourself. Connecting it to the now, we have had a very abusive situation over the last few years. Most of my followers will be completely aware to everything that's going on. And I've watched it all, and I'm very aware to this much bigger picture. But the worst of all I see is how distant we are becoming from our conscious mind. Our spiritual connection, and I'm not talking some airy-fairy woo-woo sitting there meditation with joss sticks, but just being in touch with yourself and being a decent, nice person. Being connected to who you are. When you are self-aware enough and you know how to be nice, you are actually spiritually connected. That's as simple as it gets. They are the moments you are completely connected with your spiritual self. But when the subconscious is distorted, that will distort the self and put us in another direction. I'm observing how placid people are becoming, and this will happen when we repress trauma. Understand that when we push trauma away or something that we don't want to look at, we're only making that monster bigger. I have dealt with abuse in myself, so I completely understand how people deny this, how they turn away from darkness, sadness. But if we keep things in the dark, we allow it to grow and become more powerful. So putting the light on a situation is the only way to fully resolve it, but reacting to the abuser with anger is only adding more to their power. First, you have to listen to that abuser and see what their world is, what they actually want to create. Then you'll see that the anger isn't needed, and actually you can put that anger into a power of being more assertive and being more articulated with what you're saying. Anger is a low emotion and very bad for your health, and I believe it's a cause to a lot of mental health conditions, disease in the world, and a lot of this that happens. I do think a lot of it stems from anger, and it's unconscious, so we're unaware too. There is a huge amount of insanity happening in the world, especially in today's age, and the insanity is the ego gone mad, and it's very disturbing to watch when you can see a logic and truth behind things. But we have to understand that this insanity has to play out. It's almost like a combustion engine that just needs to explode. And so we have to allow it to evolve. And the important side is that we don't get caught up in that psyche and that anger. Nature is number one, really detoxing yourself from these realities and stepping into realities that don't involve other narratives, that you're actually in your own space and creating your own narrative. Most of you watching this understand what I'm getting at, but what's important is that the people who are aware become strong in who they are. And when all the narratives, and I don't mean every single thing will fall apart, but the mainstream narratives come apart, we have to be very conscious to that reality that's what's going to happen. I mean, yes, we are in an awakening time, and many are waking up, which is brilliant. But how they react to what's happened over the last few years is really down to the conscious mind. And I don't think the media help it in any way. And the way I see it looking is I feel a lot of people will be making irrational decisions, believing they are making conscious decisions when they see the corruption that's gone on. I mean, you can only just look over the last few years to see how people's responses are to things and how they responded. So Eckhart Tolle puts it perfectly, saying we have a lot of intelligent people in the world, but most of them do not combine intelligence with wisdom. They will use intelligence for destructive means. People need to understand that the old way of life is now over, and people need to realize we are in the Great Reset now, which is our reset, the human reset, the resetting of the old mind. But we still have to be aware to what we're resetting and getting rid of them old traumas and belief systems. Thank you for watching, everybody. Please subscribe and share this with anyone who might find this useful. The films will be back next week, and I've got a lot more stories to tell you.